13,000 years after the last dire wolf walked the earth, scientists say they've now brought them back. Here's our chief national correspondent back up and with the video tonight.
Tonight, a howl 13,000 years in the making. In a first for science, biotech company Colossal Biosciences says it brought the extinct direwolf back to life, a species that hasn't walked the earth since the Stone Age.
The direwolf is the first de-extinct species.
Well known from HBO's hit show Game of Thrones, ABC News given exclusive access into Colossal's lab in Dallas, where scientists are using genes from gray wolves to create dire wolves.
We've taken a gray wolf genome, a gray wolf cell, which is already genetically 99.5% identical to dire wolves, and we've edited those cells at multiple places in its DNA sequence to contain the dire wolf version of the DNA. That animal looks like a dire wolf, it will behave like a dire wolf, and it is a dire wolf.
Now, 7 months old, dire wolves Romulus and Remus eating well and getting bigger every day. And David, the company tells us they're not stopping there. They plan to have woolly mammoths roaming the earth again by 2028. But critics argue that this de-extinction could harm fragile ecosystems. David?
Yeah, the images are really something, Matt. Thank you.
Major breakthrough on the dodo de-extinction project. Major breakthrough on the dodo de-extinction project.
Humanity may be one step closer to bringing back the dodo from
extinction, which has been extinct for about 400 years now. Colossal Biosciences.
Colossal Biosciences. Colossal Biosciences announced
we are going to bring back the dodo.
This poor old bird, the first animal species that human beings actually exterminated. And so now we talk about being as dead as a dodo.
Dead as a dodo.
Dead as a dodo.
Dead as a dodo. Dead as the dodo.
Dead as a dodo. Making it very clear.
What's the goal of the dodo de-extinction project? It's in the name. We're de-extincting a dodo. For better or for worse, the dodo has become a global icon for human-caused extinction. We see them in Alice in Wonderland. We see them on paintings and books. Everybody says, oh, look at that really stupid bird that just walked up to people and went extinct.
There goes our last female.
No, dodos were not dumb. Dodos were really well adapted to the particular environment that they lived in. They really didn't have any natural predators in Mauritius, and they never needed to worry about people.
Some steamed toast and a dodo egg.
But I think the dodo went extinct.
Get going!
They went extinct because they laid a single egg in a nest on the forest floor. And when people arrived in Mauritius, they brought things with them. Some things on purpose, like dogs and cats and pigs, and some things by accident, like rats. And an egg in a nest on the ground is a pretty easy meal for a rat.
Apparently they tasted delicious. The ultimate goal of the Dodo project is to bring back the dodo to Mauritius. So when it comes to genome engineering in birds, it's actually really complicated because they produce these big eggs and they have to lay these eggs where you've got the embryo developing inside. It actually makes it quite difficult for us to do some of these early manipulations.
It's not possible to clone birds because we don't have access to the egg cell, the cell that will eventually be fertilized and become a developing chick, in the same way that we do in mammals. When a chicken egg is laid, that developing embryo is about 24 hours old. There's a ton of bird in there. At that point, we can't stick a needle into the egg and suck out one cell that we're going to edit and then transform into another bird. It's just not possible. But there's another way.
We have figured out pigeon primordial germ cell culture. So what that means is that the cells that we need to edit to make the dodo, we now know how to collect those, how to grow them in culture, how to make more of them, and how to put them back into embryos.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there.
Primordial germ cells are the only immortal cell you...
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there.
Primordial germ cells are the only immortal cell. You think about any life on Earth, that's the one cell that stayed alive the whole time that's been passed down from one generation to the next generation. So they just provide this very unique way that we can start to edit and manipulate genomes and go on to produce other animals from these incredibly unique cells.
The primordial germ cells, or PGCs, these are the cells that will eventually become either sperm or eggs, depending on if it's a male or a female. They are circulating throughout the bloodstream of that developing chick. And at that point, we can stick a needle into that egg and without harming the bird, suck out some of that blood. And that blood will contain these PGCs. We want to edit those. The only bird for which the recipe was known to keep those PGCs healthy and living and dividing in a dish in the lab was chickens. This was true for 40 years. And then we solved it for pigeons. This is a huge step in our dodo de-extinction project.
Genetics is a powerful force.
The dodo, it's
our dodo de-extinction project.
Genetics is a powerful force.
The dodo itself was a pigeon, and because we see that kind of for each bird group, there probably needs to be some adjustment of the PGC culture media so that we can successfully grow these cells, we'll be able to port that media recipe over to Nicobar pigeon. And Nicobar pigeon, right, is our closest living relative to the dodo, and now it'll be those cells that we'll be editing to make the dodo.
We've now
to the dodo, and now it'll be those cells that we'll be editing to make the dodo.
We've now made our surrogate gene-edited chickens that don't make their own primordial germ cells. When we inject in our gene-edited ones, will migrate to the gonad, they will make a little home there, and they will turn into either egg or sperm of exactly what it is that we have gene-edited, and not what that particular chicken is. Does that kind of make sense? Was that confusing?
Okay, break it down in terms of, okay, I think I'm getting you.
This is the process that we're using.
Okay, I think I'm getting you.
This is the process that we're using to eventually bring a dodo back to life. First, the scientists edit the PGCs. They create the right conditions for the PGCs to grow in culture. That means in a dish in the lab. And then they use the targets from our analysis of the dodo genome to edit those PGCs. Next, surrogate chickens are edited so they don't make their own germ cells. This clears the way for the edited pigeon PGCs to take the place of those germ cells. When these chickens lay eggs, the chicks developing inside these eggs won't have any germ cells. Our scientists can inject the edited pigeon PGCs into the chicken embryos developing inside these eggs. Its DNA is unedited chicken DNA. Its germ cells, though, those are pigeon germ cells. Once these males and females mature, they will mate, and when the hen lays an egg, it will look like an ordinary chicken egg. But the chick developing inside is a pigeon embryo. Finally, a pigeon squab hatches. This little bird carries the original edits made to those pigeon PGCs. We have brought those edits to life in a living bird. Okay, pretty straightforward, right?
PGCs are
features are removed to make a system more efficient. Digital data brings me back to consent. And on this point, I would like to finish, Sir Edward. Digital ID is an ever more intrusive evolution of traditional ID cards, one that promises to be more oppressive. Coupled with the powers of digital databases, increasing widespread facial recognition, digitalised public services, and looming prospect of a central bank digital currencies, digital ID threatens to create an all-encompassing digital surveillance state that even George Orwell's 1984 could not predict. In every aspect of public life, we give over our data with consent. Yet digital ID turns that notion on its head, insisting that we hand over data to simply function in society and potentially for reasons we cannot consent to in advance. Final intervention, yeah.
One of my friends making a fantastic speech, but does he agree with me that this is just the latest example of this Labour government trying to push through something that was not in their manifesto, and therefore this House must do all it can to stop it from being a reality?
Again, I absolutely agree with my honourable friend, and therefore who else other than the Prime Minister is really wanting to drive this through? I doubt, if the government expand the scope of digital ID after their initial implementation, that they will be kind enough to offer an opt-out clause to anyone who has signed up. People up and down the country, 3 million, who have signed today's petition can see that this scheme is a disaster waiting to happen. I will give way to the chair of the Petitions Committee, and then that will be...
As the chair of the Petitions Committee, I'd like to thank the honourable member for an excellent speech. 3 million signatures. I want to apologise to everyone here for there not being enough space in here for the number of members who've turned up. I thank them for turning up. I think it poses a question for the House to be settled in the future.
And I couldn't agree more with that point. It just shows the strength of feeling on this issue. There are thousands deeply offended by the intrusion on their civil liberties, thousands sceptical that Whitehall will be able to pull off such a complex scheme, and thousands who are digitally excluded, terrified of computer says no future. So the government should give up now, because those on this side of the debate will never give up. Whether today's identity cards are stopped before they are implemented, the last few months, as they were in the last few months of 2010, or over a decade ago as they were in 1939, the British people will fight them. We will stop them, and we will overturn them. Sir Edward, as I said to the government, they were in the last few months of 2010, or over a decade ago as they were in 1939, the British people will fight them. We will stop them, and we will overturn them. Sir Edward, as I said to the government on the day that they announced this policy, I am not a tin of beans, and I do not need a barcode. People will fight them. We will stop them, and we will overturn them. Sir Edward, as I said to the government, they were in the last few months of 2010, or over a decade ago as they were in 1939, the British people will fight them. We will stop them, and we will overturn them. Sir Edward, as I said to the government on the day that they announced this policy, I am not a tin of beans, and I do not need a barcode. As I said to the government on the day that they announced this policy, I am not a tin of beans, and I do not need a barcode.
Soldier killed on duty in Ukraine, and in the past few minutes he has been named by the Ministry of Defence as 28-year-old Lance Corporal George Hooley of the Parachute Regiment. British soldier killed on duty in Ukraine, and in the past few minutes he has been named by the Ministry of Defence as 28-year-old Lance Corporal George Hooley of the Parachute Regiment.
Without so much of a by your leave. And where is the Justice Secretary to answer for this? Do we need to send out a search party to Savile Row? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, this government lurches from one outrage to another. Yesterday, the Chancellor shredded her promises and dropped a £26 billion tax bomb on working Britain. Meanwhile, we learnt that the Justice Secretary is plotting to discard centuries of jury trials without so much of a by your leave. And where is the Justice Secretary to answer for this? Do we need to send out a search party to Savile Row in case he's gone suit shopping again this morning? Or perhaps he couldn't face up to the embarrassment that he is now destroying the very principles he once championed. Jury trials are fundamental to the justice system. They're fundamental to our democracy, and we must protect them. Not my words. Those of the Justice Secretary himself. And this time, he was right. There is wisdom in 12 ordinary citizens pooling their collective experiences of the world. But now he's in government. He's doing the complete opposite. He blames the court backlog. But if the courtrooms standing empty this year were used, the backlog would be down by 5,000 to 10,000 cases. He pleads poverty on law and order. But yesterday, the Chancellor came here and found £16 billion more to spend on benefits. The truth is the Labour Party just don't think ordinary people are up to it. They don't trust them with these decisions. Give away the Chagos Islands, shackle us to the ECHR, scrap jury trials, all because lawyers know best. And when the Justice Secretary is summoned here to the People's House, what does he do? He cowers. He cowers away. Well, the people who make up juries, the British people, they won't wear it anymore. So I have one simple question for the minister he sent in his stay. Will she protect what is fundamental to our democracy? Or will she stand by as the Justice Secretary casually casts aside centuries of English liberty?
Minister.
How extraordinary, Mr. Speaker. He claims to care about the rule of law. He claims to care about ancient legal traditions. Mr. Speaker, this is the same Shadow Justice Secretary that denigrates our independent judges, that denigrates our legal community standing up for rights. I've already said, and I'll say it again, the right to a jury trial for our most serious cases will remain a fundamental part of our British legal tradition. But since he is so fond of quoting our ancient principles, quoting Magna Carta, let me remind him of what is our constitutional right. What Magna Carta says is to no one will we delay right or justice. The right to a swift and prompt trial is a fundamental ingredient of fairness. And when you have the crisis that we inherited from the party opposite, a backlog now of some 80,000 cases, behind each and every one of those cases, an actual victim, somebody accused of a crime.
Yet again.
It was around this age that Angela Rayner began caring for her mum.
I sometimes get upset the way that Angie's had to grow up pretty fast because, I always picture her as the mum when I was having that really dark time because I was acting like a baby.
But that was a depression, wasn't it? That's how it made you feel.
I was really depressed and suicidal. When I was in a very dark place, she used to bath me, look after me, feed me. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd be here today.
I remember being scared. I remember staying at the bottom of my mum's bed once, thinking, is my mum going to do something? And not wanting to go to sleep because I didn't want to go to sleep and think that my mum wouldn't be there in the morning.
This is the first time they've spoken on camera about their past, as Angela Rayner focuses on her future and runs to be Deputy Leader of Labour.
She has done well to get where she is today. All what she's been through and everything. She's come through it all. And look at her, look where she is.
Is that nice for you to hear, Angela?
Yeah, Mum doesn't. Mum doesn't say stuff like that often, so it's nice. Hi, how's things? Hi.
Having been on quite a journey, Angela Rayner took us on another around her constituency of Ashton-under-Lyne.
Well, my mum couldn't read, so we ended up with shaving foam once instead of cream for our jelly.
Becoming a mum herself at just 16, she relied on family centres like this one.
Did you feel a stigma around that?
Massively. I mean, I felt really embarrassed about the situation because people just thought it was because it was easy. I'm lucky for the situation that I was in because it gave me a reason to live.
In her political career, she's been blessed with better fortune.
Every time you've looked after me, I've won.
She is the frontrunner to be Deputy Labour leader after just 5 years in Parliament.
Politically, what would you say is the difference between you and Jeremy Corbyn?
I'd say that I'm more bombastic, more focused and more sharp, and I think would expect more discipline in a way that Jeremy didn't. He didn't command respect.
Do you think he has a place?
In her political career, she relied on family centres like this one.
Did you feel a stigma around that?
Massively. I mean, I felt really embarrassed about the situation because people just thought it was because it was easy. I'm lucky for the situation that I was in because it gave me a reason to live.
In her political career, she's been blessed with better fortune.
Every time you've looked after me, I've won.
Former Housing Minister and Deputy PM. I know, weren't that mental? I'm here to talk about my brand new property website, Wrong Move. The most unfortunately named estate agent since Savills. If, like me, you enjoy throwing stones but live in a glass house and want to upgrade to an ivory tower, I'm your girl. I'm a property specialist in lax advice, me. It's all about trust, forming a trust in your accountant, and most importantly, trusting you'll get away with it. Oops! So sign up to Wrong Move. Save 40k and be semi-detached from the reality of ordinary people's lives.
Your cabinet position may be at risk if you do not heed proper instructions and keep up your correct stamp duty payments. And be aware, as a former cabinet member, you may end up in a cushy chief executive role at some bank or other and will probably be fined. Terms and conditions do not apply.
Got sight of the letter that Sir Laurie Magnus has written to the Prime Minister, in which he begins by praising the openness and the cooperation of Angela Rayner with his investigation. He then goes through considerable detail of the facts of the case, which we don't need to relitigate now. We have presented them to you, our viewers, in summary form over the last week or so. But the letter does conclude by saying it is deeply regrettable that the specific tax advice was not sought. He continues, I believe Ms. Rayner has acted with integrity and with a dedicated and exemplary commitment to public service. I consider, however, that her unfortunate failure to settle her stamp duty liability at the correct level, coupled with the fact that this was established only following intensive public scrutiny, leads me to advise you, the Prime Minister, that in relation to this matter, she cannot be considered to have met the highest possible standards of proper conduct as envisaged by the Code. Accordingly, it is with deep regret that I must advise you that in these circumstances, I consider the Code to have been breached. Yours sincerely, Sir Laurie Magnus.
And to remember what Christmas actually is. It's not Winterval, it's not a winter holiday. It is, of course, to celebrate the fact that we are a Christian country. Now, Christmas, the weather can be awful, you'll be at home with the family, you'll want to watch some films. I've got some recommendations for you. What about Skint? Actually, yes, that's an old favourite. This one I think is going to go very, very well this Christmas. Christmas with the Cranks. Have a look at that lot. That should be very, very, very funny. On a more serious note, we have The Chancellor Who Stole Christmas. I wouldn't recommend that one too much. Kemi stars in the next one. Yep, it's a wonderful loss. There's another idea that's come up, which is Leave Me Alone. And there we have the twin Scrooges of Reeves and Starmer. Or, on a happier note, what about Top of the Polls? We end the year, top of the polls. It's a Merry Christmas to all our supporters, all our voters, all those that believe in us. And let's look forward to a fantastic 2026. What do we...
Come on.
I really think there's got to be a change of government in Britain, and you can't. We don't have another 4 years or whatever the next election is. It's too long. Something's got to be done. There's got to be a dissolution of Parliament and a new vote held. My appeal is to British common sense, which is to look carefully around you and say, if this continues, what world will you be living in?
I want to ask you about Elon Musk, if I could. You talked about Elon Musk. You had him at dinner here in the White House. Is he now back in your circle of friends?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, I like Elon a lot. It was a very, he really helped during the election with his endorsement. He felt strongly. Look, we had one problem. You know, I didn't want to have everybody have to have an electric car, and he makes electric cars. And yeah, I think we get along well.
Trump in the Oval Office with the German Chancellor, and a lot to get to here, but the most interesting and perhaps important issue, political issue and policy issue, is what President Trump said about his now former friend, at least it seems, Elon Musk. And I want to go to Elena Treen at the White House. Elena, it seems as though we saw kind of the unraveling of a bromance real time. And what our viewers saw was what it turned out to be one side of a fight. The other side was Elon Musk real time using his platform X to respond and kind of push back on many of the things that President Trump said. We're going to show our viewers what happened, but I want you to kind of give a sense of what brought us to this extraordinary moment just a few days after he gave a big glowing goodbye to Elon Musk from the White House.
Yeah, it's not even a week, Dana, since we saw them both praise each other from the Oval Office days later now. And actually the first time reporters are actually having the opportunity to ask the president about this. Since that moment, we're now seeing this completely fraying relationship on full display. It's very remarkable given just how close I know, my colleagues here at the White House, and I know that the president and Musk have been for months now, really him being one of the president's favorite people on this White House complex. I want to give you a sense just of some of the key things I took away from the president's comments. Overall, though, I would note as well that his tone was strikingly somber when discussing this, and really you could see that it saddened him almost. You could see kind of the emotion in his tone and on his face as he was discussing this. He said, quote, "I've always liked Elon." He said I was very surprised. He said he would have rather had him criticize him directly rather than the spending bill that the president has been working tirelessly with his team to try and muscle through Congress. He said, and this to me was maybe the most notable quote from the president, he said, "Look, Elon and I had being a very key word here, had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore." He said he was very disappointed in Musk. He went on to add that Musk knew about the, quote, inner workings of the bill very intimately, and claimed that he only started to take issue with it and had a problem with it once he left the administration, but also once he learned of the breadth of the electric vehicle mandate, really the credits that are being revoked in this bill that, of course, could and will impact Tesla. We also did see, as you mentioned, Dana, Musk respond to this just moments ago on X. He had really been posting throughout the entire time the president was speaking, but then he did made this one post linking to a video of the president making these comments about him, and said, "Keep the EV mandates in the bill, but get rid of the pork and the rest of it." He said you could have an ugly big bill or a slim and beautiful bill. So clearly showing, actually at the top of that post, he said, quote, "whatever," really showing, where he stands on this. All to say, I mean, if you just look at months ago, particularly leading up to him being in the White House and then ever since, the president, would parade Musk around Mar-a-Lago and his different properties with him, always had him by his side at the dinner table, has continued to allow him to walk into the Oval, unannounced whenever he wanted. This is very far from that, and it's very unclear now where this relationship is going to go.
Begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before.